G'day YouTube, my name's Lance and welcome to Bundy Bears Shed. Well, today's Sunday morning. We had a few storms overnight, only about 10 millimetres of rain, so the paddock's looking nice. We didn't get up into the shed yesterday too much. We did the slashing, so yeah, we did all the rider mowing, and we have 8 acres here, so it takes me quite a while to run around with the tractor and the slasher. I think in America or England you call them toppers, but we call them slashers over here. And it's a 5-foot slasher I made myself, and it does a good job. And yeah, we thought the rain was coming, and so I jumped out early yesterday morning about 5 o'clock and cranked up the tractor and away we went. And the paddock's looking real nice now. To get a little bit of rain on top will give us a bit of green pick. It was the first good tidy up of the place since winter. Over winter with the frost and it gets a bit dry, we don't mow and slash that much. We just let the grass stay there, because if you mow it too short, it just dies. Yeah, it makes it hard for it. So anyway, the place is looking like $1 million. But yeah, not much shed time. But what we did get done yesterday was at the end of the last Kangaroo Stew, we were playing with a little Fordson Model N tractor that my mate Dave owns. On the Fordson tractors, being petrol kerosene and of English origin where it's quite cool, the tractors to run on kerosene, they had to heat up the kerosene vapour somehow. So what they decided to do was this. Now, what happens on the back here, these two holes here, that's where your carby bowl, the bowl for the fuel, or the float chamber would be more the point, bolts on the side there. Then out of this little hole here, there's a little mushroom type thing with 4 holes in it, and they call it a vaporizer, and it vaporizes the kerosene. Then it has to travel all this way up here, then up to here, and then there's a 1/2-inch hole there. There's a 1/2-inch hole that goes right across to the air inlet next to the Venturi. So you see blokes trying to start Fordsons, crank start Fordsons, and they have to prime them first. So they flick the handle and flick the handle and flick the handle, and anyway, once they hear a bit of a pop, well, she's right to go. They get him going. But in Australia, power kerosene we don't seem to be able to find much of anymore. Most people that take these tractors to shows and exhibitions and like to play with them, they run them on unleaded petrol or gasoline. And in doing that, on a hot summer's day in Australia here, they actually have trouble with the vapour lock. The fuel gets that hot going up next to the manifold. And one thing I should explain, I suppose, is your inlet and exhaust manifold set up are right here. This bolts to the side of it. So the heat from the exhaust keeps this whole show nice and hot to assist in the burning of the kerosene. So in England, in the colder climates, well, obviously they needed all the help they can get. But in Australia, when you've had the tractors running, or you warm them up to get them ready for a grand parade, well, in Australia I know some fellas and they don't dare stop them once they got them going. The fuel gets that hot running next to the manifold there that you get a vapour lock, and you've got to walk away for a little while and let them cool down. So what we did, we took all this out. That will get bolted back onto the tractor for aesthetics, and this hole here we're going to block that up so it draws from a different area. And we actually I made a new main jet and I put it right into the inlet just under the Venturi. So instead of the float chamber being down here, now it's up here in line with the Venturi. So I'll have a look and see if there's any photos for it. I did fiddle around with my phone while I was doing it, so there might be a small video that I sent to my friend Indy just to show him what we were doing. So if I've still got that around, I might try and insert that in here somewhere. Hey young Indy, I'll show you what we've been up to. We've made a brass jet. It's got a 137th air hole through it, and that's the same size as the hole through here.
So we've kept the hole, we know it's right. We've got on the back of the jet, so the fuel can get in, we've put a 45 degree. We originally just drilled it, but I thought, well, just in case it gets turned or something like that, it'd be better to have it like this. So that screws in there. This is upside down, you know, but a Fordson man would know that. So we found a union. This thread fits directly into the manifold of the Fordson, where there's a plug on the side there of the mixer, on the side of the Venturi in the low pressure area. So we're going to screw that into the low pressure area next to your Venturi. But what we're also doing is the olive and that off that fitting, it goes up in here, then the olive goes on, so that when I get the right fitting, so yeah, when this fitting is sitting in this fitting is sitting in this fitting is sitting in the tractor. I'll get it out here a bit. Yeah, when this fitting sitting in the tractor, I just need to polish that, it's just a bit tight. This will stay in the tractor. If you want to pull your float chamber off and clean it, you just undo this nut and the whole thing withdraws through this fitting. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. We have to tidy these up. We're just going to put 5/16 UNF short bolts in there, and the thread that we tapped in here was 5/16 UNF as well. So I'll send you a quick video of the whole assembly.
But anyway, the old tractor, we flicked it over yesterday and flicked it over and flicked it over and flicked it over, and then did some more flicking it over. And electric start's a wonderful thing. But anyway, bugger me, we got it going. And my mate David put some oil down the bore, and probably a bit much oil as it turns out. The plugs were fouling and we had to clean them up. But anyway, she run and off she raced, and I've got a little bit of video. I took some with my phone, that's all I had out there. And I'll see if I can insert some into YouTube, into this clip. I'm not sure how I'll do that, but anyway, it'll be a first for me to transfer and mix something from my main camera here and something with my phone. So we'll see how that goes. I think it's all MP4, so we'll give it a whirl. So yeah, Dave and I sat down next to the tractor and had a celebratory beer, patted ourselves on the back till we nearly saw, and yeah, that was a good feeling, and Dave's happy. So it's nice to have a bit of a win. You can take that home now and tidy it up. It was an ex-Land Army tractor, so he's a bit keen to get it going. It's actually an orange Land Army tractor, but in the war in England, a lot of the ladies, you know, the fellows were off fighting, and they were, you know, in bombing raids and land and armies and things like that. So, as in Australia, it was left to the farmers and the ladies of the area to continue on, you know, grow veggies and that sort of thing. But what had happened sometimes is when in England, when the bombers and the German bombers went across, they'd drop their bombs or scoot over for a bit of tear-assing around in their planes, and on the way back they'd see these orange Fordsons with these ladies or Land Army people on it, farming, and there was a good bit of sport for them really. They'd blow, you know, whack a few rounds around them, and people were getting shot up. So the same era that this tractor was done, this must be a last of an orange, they actually changed the colour to green, a deep green, so it blended in with the land side a little bit more, and that's how they sort of changed things a little bit there, made them a little bit safer, because yeah, when you're on a green countryside on a bright orange tractor and there's enemy planes going overhead, probably bright orange isn't the best colour you could choose. But anyway, they woke up to that and they went to green, and problem solved. Well, most of the problem solved. I reckon there'd probably still be a few eagle-eyed old German pilots up there giving them a bit of a bloody hard time. But anyway, so Dave's even though this one was orange, he's going to paint it green because he hasn't got a green one, and it's the right year to go green. So she'll look good, the old girl. All right, a bit of a chat about what happened with our projects over the week. Well, the Massey Ferguson 65 that had the relay burn out, I got a new starter motor for that, and it's on the machine. It was across the paddock a little way where it happened, where I had it parked, because I was doing some painting, so I moved it down the paddock so I didn't get any overspray on it, and that's where the problem was. So yesterday I popped the starter motor on. I haven't done the wiring yet, I just shorted the starter across enough to get it running and brought it up to the shed here. So today I'll wire it up properly. I'll see if we need a relay or not. With a new starter, good batteries, there's a chance we don't need one. If we don't need one, well I probably won't do it. That noise you can hear now, we're babysitting the son's dog, and we're not game to let it off. So that's it. I've got it up with the shed with us on the chain, and that's it, rattling the chain around the corner of the shed. But anyway, that's I'm not going to let it off. Sometimes it's good, and other times you're up and down the road chasing the thing. So yeah, I'm not going to do that today. So you might hear the dog chain rattle around a little bit, but that's all it is. A nice border collie, but still at a puppy stage, and we're used to older dogs. So with older dogs, they just sit around and like to be with you. Well, you get a puppy when you've had an old dog, and it livens you up a little bit. Yeah, it livens the chooks up a bit too, might tell you. But anyway, so the 65, we'll get that wired up today. I'll take the camera out, and if it's not showering, it has been showering earlier, but looks like the sun's come out now, so should be okay. The front end loader brakes, the actuator, which is this bloke here, believe it or not, it's only going to cost about $80 to $100, but there's none in Australia. So we found one in England, so we're shipping one in out of England. The little rubber that was on the rod, on the actuating rod at the top, the little rubber is bloody dog. The little rubber on the actuator at the top, I can only get that genuine through Ford New Holland, and I nearly fell over. It's $140 just for that little rubber. But anyway, we've ordered one because there's no use half doing a job. You need it done properly. So I got the seat on the old loader. I'm still driving it around. I drove it around without a park brake for years, so not having a park brake's not going to be a problem. So it won't happen this week. It may happen the week after, something like that, depending on when the actuator comes in. And then I haven't got the seal yet either. So we're just waiting on parts for that, but that's not holding the show up much. Well, with our manifold grinder, I got the belts the other day. I've had a fair think, and a few people made comments, and I am going to, later on today, try doing the cut it off with a masonry disc in an angle grinder. I'll do a measurement and I'll film that. I think that's the way to go. I'm quite comfortable with doing that now. Whether we turn it with the machine on, or whether we turn it by hand and just run the angle grinder round gently, taking an easier cut, I haven't made my mind up. We'll just go by feel with that one. But we'll take the camera over there and we'll show you all that. Yeah, if it's a success or if it's a failure, you'll get to see it. Yes, we'll see. I think that'll work all right. Well, we're just drilling the holes, the clearance holes. I'm just doing it in the drill press. The drill's not that sharp. Probably felt important not to let the stone hit the floor. nice and steady. Yep, that looks good. We'll give it a wipe up and we'll go and sit him in and bolt him down to the boss where it goes, and then we'll sort out making it a bit shorter. Well, we've bolted the stone down, and with the bolts right the way through and the stone brought right down, the bolts were just tagging the housing underneath. So we put spring washers under them, which can be taken out later on as the stone wears. And we have some new belts, A39 section, A section 39 inch. So we'll pop them on, and then we'll decide how we're going to bring this stone down. Stones are harder than skin. You wouldn't have bloody thought that, would you? But anyway, finger's still there, so it's alright. We'll get these belts on, and then we'll just decide what we're going to do with this. Okay, stone's on. I've put the switch back up the right way now, and we'll just switch him on and see what it feels like. Feels okay. There's a little bit of vibration, but I'd imagine that new belts need to bed in a little bit yet, so we'll set up for the next step. Well, I can show you what the plan is. I've put an Allen head bolt here as a guide, and when the grinder sits parallel, like that, you can feel the spot. It just sits under the head of that Allen head bolt, so that seems to hold it in the position that we need. Now, if we look here, we need to aim for just above just level with the, or just above the white line, the little strap here. So we'll keep this same place. We'll bring that area to around here, loosen off the handle, and now we'll wind him up until the grinding stone comes, or till that mark becomes level with where the wheel cuts here. So in a matter of fact, we'll probably be cutting up here somewhere. It'll take a few turns. One turn on the handle here is 4/1000ths of an inch, which I put a dial gauge on the stone to actually work that out earlier. So I'll wind him up and I'll come back to you in a minute. Okay, I've got my safety glasses on, I've got my safety thongs on. We'll just see how this goes. I think it'll be okay. That's about as deep as I can go. But we'll go around as far as we can with this wheel. I do have other ones, they might be a little bit bigger. But that's the full depth from here to here. So that seems to be quite successful. We'll continue on with it. And just see if we can get right through. So you can see the cutting edge here is down to about half now of what it used to be. So I'll keep going on the shallow bit, wear this little diamond cutting disc right out, and then we'll pop another one on. The stone gets quite warm, but seems to be going well, really. Well, that's about all I can get out of that. It gets quite hot in there. I've got a few discs. I've got a cupboard called Mitre 11. Whatever Mitre 10 hasn't got, I've probably got in there. Anyway, I'll go and put a new stone on, and we'll come back and go a bit deeper. We've gone just about all the way around now. Well, we have gone all the way around, but that's not all at the same depth. So hopefully with a new stone, it might give us that little bit of extra to start going right through. If not, we might have to just try and bump it and shear it through. Hopefully it breaks like glass. Once it's had a crack there, it's okay. Okay, I'll put a new stone on, and what we've done, we've gone right round the full depth of the grinder. So hopefully we can go in and give it a bit of a... Oh look, that's full. That's falling apart there now. Look at that, went right through. That was all that was holding it. Well, I'll tell you something, I'm happy with that. That should give me enough stone to have another stone, which we'll find some sort of epoxy. Some sort of epoxy, and we'll probably use this edge. Clean that edge up and use it. But anyway, now we'll blow all this clean. We'll maybe dress that little sharp edge down slightly and see if it can come down far enough to put the guide back on, and we'll do a little bit of grinding just to make sure we're up and racing. I've got to tell you, I am pleased with that. We've got the stone all dressed down, we've got the guide sitting back in here now, and we had to take a little bit off, we had it a bit too high. But anyway, we've been playing with the little Fergy manifold, so we're going to do a few runs for you. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, looks pretty good. In the centre section here, there and there, that's where it's faded right away, so it's not quite done there yet. But all in all, the whole stone's worked out pretty good. Bring him up here so you can see it. There we go. Alright, we might call that done. And I'll just keep going and have a bit of more of a play with this. Next bit's for Emma. Emma down the Gold Coast, Emma Ritson. One of her comments she said about the little engine I had in the background. It'll be interesting to have a bit of a look at that. That's this little fella here. So we'll have a quick chat about that, just to show you what I'm up to with it. It's one of those jobs, now and then I feel like hopping into it and I machine a few bits up and fit a few more things or make another part, and then I seem to fade off and do other things for a while. So it's been an ongoing project. It's an interesting project, and when you're in the mind, or the right mind to do something like that and machine a little bit of cast, it's a great thing. It's very enjoyable to do. But then I keep buying tractors for some reason, and when I buy tractors I get a bit excited about them for a little while, and so off I go playing with tractors, and my little engine sits on the shelf here on the bench. But I'll give you a bit of a look at the kit and what's in it and what we've done, and yeah, you might find it interesting. I bought this little kit out of, I think it's Lindley, it's a little company, Lindley, in Canada. It's a Fairbanks morse, 3 horsepower, or a third scale of one. And to get the kit, the casting kit and plans and all sent to Australia, it cost, a couple of years ago when I got it, it cost around $525 delivered. I am very happy with the kit. It has everything you need, good instructions, and the castings are machining well. We don't have any chilled castings where, castings sometimes if they're not done correctly, they get a hard spot in them. You'll be machining nicely and you hit a hard bit. Well, this has none of that. You get all the castings for the, like that's the governor housing, and it's all blanks. You get to do everything, all the machining. So for someone that likes to machine, that's the cylinder head. So you need to set that up. You have very detailed plans. There's no problem. Anyone that's a little bit handy will be able to do it. And you have to machine your valve guides, your head stud holes. All your ports need to be machined in there. And so if you have a small home workshop, it's a great little kit. But so far, I've machined a sleeve, which I've got a nice fit in there. It doesn't want to come out, but anyway, that's good. I'll take it in further. I've machined the piston. It's all ready to rock and roll. You'll notice a couple of little yellow dobs on some, can you see that? Yeah, yellow dobs on some of these parts. And I was painting some John Deere wheels, and the top of the paint pot sort of fell over and it splashed onto some of this, which is not a problem. It's just a pain in the bum. But anyway, I've also made the crankshaft, and I've made that out of 4140, 5/8 of an inch 4140. I've machined the keyways in for the crank. With the crank journal here, I made half a dozen of these plates, and I wasn't filming anything at this time, so I haven't taken a diary of it, a video diary of it at all. But these plates here, I ended up with half a dozen of those, spaced evenly, all drilled together. I tacked them together and drilled them together so the holes all had the exact same spacing, and then I spaced them out along two pieces of 5/8 of an inch 4140. And the idea of that was to make sure that I had everything true and on the same plane. So what we did then was these two in here, it's quite a tight fit. So we got these two that were going to be the crank journal, and I don't know if you can see it there or not, but they're pinned. So we Loctited them in with 680 and we pinned them. And they each have an 1/8 inch hardened steel pin in there. And what the pin is actually, it's a bit of welding rod that's on a dissimilar metal type welding rod, and it's very hard. And you can heat it and bend it with an oxy, and then it goes back to very hard. I use it as an O-ring pick sometimes, it's that hard. So anyway, we tapered them a bit and we pressed them in, and then we just machined them flat. So the crank seems to run quite true. Well, it does run true. And yeah, with the two shafts going all the way, once we were done, we cut these off roughly, then machined them flat, and we cut inside here and run a mill down and machined that flat as well. So the crank works well. I had to bore through the main bearings here. They were just rough castings as well, and they're just held in with little Allen screw caps. These are phosphor bronze. The phos bronze doesn't come in the kit, it's only castings. And these little grease cups, I made those too. Now, they're a bit of fun to make. Just a tiny little grease cup. Not sure what you can see. And yeah, they screw in, and you fill this with grease, and as you screw it down, it squirts a little bit of grease into your bearing. So I made a couple of those. You don't get any brass at all, it's just castings like I was saying, but this is a little oiler I made. Now, this was a bit of fun one Sunday. It's just a sight glass drip feed oiler. And so we made the base. The main piece in the middle threads into the base. So a little bit of fine threading there. This is on the bottom of some of the oilers on the bigger stationary engines. This is the glass where you can see how much oil drips through. Yeah, you count the drips. So that's the glass I had for that. I turned up this top end here. I still need to put a little oil filler hole in there yet. And then, of course, you need a needle, an over-centre needle. I need to cut the pins off here yet. But I made this little knurled nut, and there's a little lock nut, so when you get the setting right, it holds it there. And the spring is a spring out of a biro. So the end result is a working oiler with adjustment. So you can adjust it up and down. You know, the adjustment just determines how far open that little needle goes. And then when you drop it down, it closes right off. And so no oil goes past. And when you want to oil it, you just pull that up. But anyone that's played with machinery a bit will know how that works. But yeah, that's a nice little oiler I made. It'll end up sitting up here when the time's right. That's a casting for a pulley, a side shaft pulley that you can run associated equipment with. Now, this is a flywheel that I've not machined yet. and it's just a bare casting. I haven't done anything to that at all. It's it needs a bit of a tidy up, and this is one I have done. I've done it a while ago. You can see a little bit of brown surfacey rust coming on there, but I've tidied all that up. It sits on the shaft nicely. I haven't broached the keyway in yet. That will happen in time. Yeah, no hurry. You've got to enjoy the process. There's the front of the carby with Lance's yellow paint on it, and that's a main carby base. So they're all sitting together when. Anyway, we won't worry about that when all the paint come on. I had to machine the base flat, and this base under the engine, we had to machine all that flat as well. And you can see in there where I've done a few runs up and down in the mill. I still have to fold up out a tin plate and insert a fuel tank in under here yet. And another thing we need to do is make the gears. Now, the gears for the governor, this is part of the governor housing. I think it sits like that. Look, I'd have to check and make sure. But I set up to cut a couple of gears. Yeah, cut a couple of gears. So I cut a couple. That was my first go at cutting gears, and look, they turned out pretty good. This one here, you know, we need to part the gear off back here further, and that was my first run. I just can't see how good you can see that, but my friend Mick come over from Mergen, and Mick and myself, we get together and we like a few beers, and we keep it down to 10 or 20 quiet ones. And anyway, we're buggering around in the shed, and Mick's a machinist and he owns an engineering works, and so we thought we'd have a crack at cutting gears. And so I set the rotary table up and we cut these gears, and we were patting ourselves on the back, went home and thought, geez, we've done a bloody good job of that. And anyway, next morning we come and had a look, and we thought, oh crikey, you done that. So the next day we did it again, and we started on this fella here. He needs to go a bit deeper, but yeah, once we chucked the beer bottles away, well, we did a lot better job. But anyway, Emma, that's the conrod. The conrod needs to be sorted out yet. The rocker shafts, just bare casting, and that's your. That, believe it or not, ends up being your rocker pivot. So that's a great little kit. There's, if you look on the net or probably on the tube, you'll probably be able to find a couple of these running. Fairbanks Morse Model Z. It comes with a nice name plaque and everything. But look, as I do it, I will keep a bit of a video diary of it, and I'll post it. But anyway, there you go, Emma. Just for you, that bit. Well, this morning I thought I'd wire up the alternator, and to get the tractor up to the shed the other day, I just shorted out from the battery positive terminal across to the exciter wire on the starter motor in through the back there, and that let the tractor start, so I could get it up near the shed to work on it. As before, it was down the paddock and I had to walk back and forth, and yeah, that'd wear thin fairly quick. So I thought I'd come and hook her up and just finish that bit off so we could start it with the key. But you don't know what's happened to these old tractors over time, and in the harness, in the wiring harness, there's this wire here, and I'll just cut that end off so I can pop it out. And this wire, that's a diode in it. This fella here's a diode. A diode acts like a foot valve in plumbing, lets electricity through one way and not the other. And what they were doing was, on the wire that excited the starter motor, they had this diode hooked in, and then this diode went to the exciter, or the field winding, on the alternator. Now, why they did that I can't tell you. It's the only time that wire would have had power up to it was when you put the key across into the start position. So once you started the tractor, you would have no exciter wire giving current to your alternator. A normal thing for an alternator is you take power from here with that brown wire. That brown wire we know goes up to our key switch. It goes to the key switch. Then for an alternator it should go from the key switch. When you turn the ignition on the first click, it should go through a dash light or an ammeter and come up and excite the small wire on the back of your alternator. Now, I've never come across this diode before. I usually just put a little dash bulb in and away we go. It seems to work quite well. And when you turn your ignition on, the dash bulb comes on. Then when the alternator cranks up and starts to charge, the earth circuit from the field winding disappears and your light goes out, so you know it's charging. So why they've done it like that I can't tell you. I'm just not sure. But we also have to put gear stick boots on today. We have had thunderstorms overnight, and I've had that all wrapped up in a rag so no moisture got into the gearbox. So that'll be a job this morning as well. But all in all, the starter motor job's finished, but as with old tractors and things, now we have to hop into the back of the alternator here and work out how to get a power supply. This here is that terminal there is where we need to put a power supply through a resistor. You need a resistor in the line, just so you don't get full power up in through there. And then the alternator through this block here will regulate and rectify the voltage itself. So we may have to put a little dash bulb in, or else we can put a resistor in the line, and that may be well what this diode is for. I'll do a bit of research and just see. That mightn't be a bad idea, but I just don't know of it, so I'll try and find out how all that works. Well, that's a wrap for our Kangaroo Stew. I think it's Kangaroo Stew number 5. We got a bit done. We got the Fergy going, the Massey Ferguson 65. It's a runner, which, well, I couldn't do that yesterday. We got rained out. It started storming at lunchtime, and yeah, just as soon as one storm would clear, another one would come through. And it rained most of the night. It's overcast outside now, and they're saying storms again today. But yeah, we must have had 10 or a dozen little storms in the area. Some come through, some didn't. 38 millimetres of rain, so that'd have to be close to 1.5 inches in the old scale, which is great. I slashed the paddock the other day, and to get a bit of rain on it now, we'll put up a nice bit of little green shoot. And, the paddock will look nice again, and yeah, a little bit greener. But look, we're going to call that a wrap for Kangaroo Stew. We've covered a few things that we wanted to do for the weekend, and yeah, it's time to do other stuff now. But look, thanks for watching. If you like our channel or you like what you see, please subscribe and comment down the bottom there. We like having a chat, and we'll get to know more of you as time goes along and get a few more subscribers, and yeah, we might have a ball. Yeah, well, I enjoy doing these things, so I hope everyone else enjoys watching them. So anyway, that'll have to be a wrap for this time. I'll get a bit of content going for next weekend, and I'll catch you later, eh?